How's it going, guys? Apple here today. Today I'm going to be talking about vectors. This is vector part 2. On my last episode, I talked about vectors, how to make it, how to print it, and how to insert it into your program. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about it and how it works and how you could actually change the different styles of stacking your information. Let's go ahead and begin. Right now, I'm going to be talking about a different function for vectors. I'm not going to be talking about all of them. I'm just going to be talking about probably 2 or 3. So my underscore vector dot insert. We're going to be using the insert function to insert a certain number. And then in here, we're going to be using our parentheses. And in these parentheses, we're going to be putting my dot, underscore vector dot begin, and then we're going to add another parentheses, and then after that we're going to be adding a little colon, I believe it's called, and then we're going to be adding a number, a certain integer. For example, we could just probably do 99999, and then at the end, of course, we're going to be using a semicolon. Now what this is going to do, it's going to insert this number to the beginning of the program. So when we actually go ahead and run this, as we can see here, our 99999 comes out first, then the other numbers that we saw in the last episode. What you could also do is do a little things here and there to actually make it a lot more better for your program to actually run. Let's go ahead and get rid of these popback statements out, because it gets kind of confusing sometimes, and I kind of want as much flexibility I could actually, and I want to teach you guys with the most flexibility that I actually can. So before this colon, we're just going to be, actually let's go ahead and execute the program to see what happens first before everything happens. Of course, we get these numbers. Now, if I put plus, let's say 1 into it, and then execute, we will be able to change the position of where 9999 is going to be. So, I'm going to be explaining what arrays are in episode 15. So, as I explained in my last episode, what an array is just a list. But it always starts out with 0 and then comes up until the list is pretty much full. So basically, for this number is technically in an array, but the number for that number from the list is 0. This is number 1, this is number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. It's kind of weird, but you'll get used to it after programming a lot. Let's put down, let's say 3 for an example. And then when we run our program, this should be technically the 4th option. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and that's where our 9999 is. So that's just something useful that you could actually do. Instead of just like adding a pop, you could just be like inserting the certain number to it, just in case if something is brand new for you to actually put into it, like something just popped up, hey, he wants this number between this on a code and then this, so I just go 0, 1, 2, and then 3, so I just put down 3, and then there we go. The next thing we're going to be talking about, my underscore vector dots, and we are going to use erase, and then we're going to add these parentheses, and then we're going to put down my underscore vector, and then we're going to use dot begin, and then we're going to add another parentheses, and then this colon, and then the basically number that we want to erase. So let's say I want to erase this number. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And basically, remember how I said this is kind of like arrays? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. basically we got to use our numbers. So let's say I want to get rid of the second option. So we go down by 0, 1. So we just do plus 1. And then when we execute our code, we shouldn't see that second option, as we can see here. This one is printed. This one's not. So we can see right here, there's no 1, 4. That's really erase really does. So the final kind of function that I'm going to be explaining is the clear function, basically. So my vector dot clear, and then we add these parentheses and then a semicolon at the end. Now, if you ever messed around with a console before, like, you know, the average console prompt, or probably like what's more clear, kind of like CSGO console, if you ever type clear into it, it basically erases what is displayed. That's what clear does too. So when we actually run this program, we go ahead and see nothing. Now this is useful on certain parts. For example, let's say I want to put it right here instead of right here. So as we can see, the program, when it's executing, will get a completely different answer. So this part, the first one, is out. And then because we just used the clear part, so this is our first one in our array. So 0, that's why it's printed. And then our second one is not printed because we have right here erase plus 1, and technically that is the first one. And then right here is our next array. So technically right now, from the newer right here, this is our first one. And then basically right here, we add our 99999 from it. Our final one right here, 6, 5, and basically it'll print out that. So, and technically you could use this for pretty much anything. You could actually have it differently. You could have it manage names. All you have to do is just change this and then just change all of these. For example, let's call this Mike, and let's just add parentheses for all of them. I'm gonna come back to this and move everything here. Be right back in like a couple seconds. Okay, now that I have everything set up properly, as we saw there before, as soon as I changed this, we had a whole bunch of errors. Now I have it all in strings. So make, Joe, Ben, Dover, John, and then Tom. And so when we execute this program, we could see the names. So Joe, Dover, Tom, and John. And you could change this to doubles. You could change this to any data type you want. You kind of have to remember this type of format when you're ever trying to use vectors for your program. So really, that's pretty much it for vectors I'm going to be explaining for this series. In my next series, I'm going to be talking about it a lot more in depth, so it's a lot more better to understand. And I might do some side projects using vectors for storing certain informations. So I hope you guys enjoyed and actually learned something new. If you liked the video, go ahead and like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.